Hello, everybody. I'm Michael Phelps, celebrity stylist, and I'm here with Nostalgia and Noise.
Thank you, Michael, and we are so excited to have you here. So I wanted to talk about why fashion, why styling. Here at Nostalgia and Noise, we talk a lot about the trigger moment as a kid that pushed you into your passion, whether that was as a kid or whether that was later in life.
I have about 22 years, contrary to my moisturized skin, in fashion retail specifically. And in that 22 years, the last brand I worked for was Balenciaga. So I had so many clients that would ask me to outsource my work, but I was the store director, so I couldn't do that at the time. So just after I left the business, I decided I wanted to take a chance on myself. And immediately, styling was the most respective avenue I could move into because of my connections and time in the industry. But what it really was for me was a mental health exercise. Fashion was something that I went to therapy years ago, and part of it was around the time that I had come out as gay. I had girlfriends my whole life, and I went to therapy and decided it was time for me to be my true self. And during that time, there was a process where my therapist would make me look in the mirror, because part of the acceptance wasn't on the people who I needed to tell, it was on myself, and I had to accept myself. And I would avoid the mirror, and I would get dressed up every day, and I would look in the mirror, and then I would take a photo and just let it live on my phone. And I just remembered how when I would get dressed up, no matter if I was going to work and changing into a uniform, or if I were just going to the grocery store, it just meant a lot to me because it made me feel good, and it made me look like myself, So as that was a part of my story, I recognized the importance of mental health styling, not necessarily just about the clothing. And we do like nice pieces and we like to look good, but it is, in my opinion, an outward expression of an inward feeling. That's what style is. So I try and, moving from retail to styling was to still permeate this idea that I would help people in the way that I feel like God gave me.
That's interesting. So how do you kind of build that idea or rediscover that idea of okay, I'm dressing like myself, that idea of self?
I ask questions like, what's your favorite color? I ask questions like, what's your favorite body part? And then the one thing I ask at every fitting is, how does this make you feel? And if someone feels the opposite of how they thought they would, meaning they felt sexy, they felt empowered, they feel mysterious, those things is what I would try and grow up on. In those processes, I started to really, I did it for myself. Today with the green that I'm wearing, I just felt wicked.
Yes,
I know, we love that. #wicked, go see it.
Okay, I was interested in something you said. You said you spent how many years at Balenciaga?
I was at Balenciaga for 5 years, but 22 years total in retail fashion.
Okay, so that's interesting. You have a lot of personal relationships with some of the clients then from having more boots in the ground work.
Absolutely. The hardest thing about styling and some insider information, for lack of a better term, is the biggest way to become successful as a stylist is to make relationships, not just with the client. The stores themselves have stylist programs for which people like myself can be leveraged to connect with their clients or the clients that I bring to the table. That allows you to be able to pull pieces on behalf of that client, so that client doesn't have to pay for them initially, do fittings at their home, utilize a tailor, these other things that I utilize, and it really helps for you to work in certain capacities in a little bit more of a broad area. The hardest thing is most of those brands that offer styling services are high-end. So that requires a purchase history. So most of them are $20,000 to $50,000. And then you could start to be a part of their styling program. However, because of 22 years in the industry, I know everybody. So I skipped some of those steps because I had kind of already done the legwork.
So that relationship with the client, what do you think is the thing that, and this is a little bit more of a amorphous question, but what do you think is the thing that makes you stand out with the rest of the stylists on the market?
I give a damn, And I don't have a lot of clients, to be completely transparent. I just have really good relationships. One of my most recent clients, I always say a little interesting for the way that I approach it is I'm incredibly visual. So when I go in and do the assessment of their closet, I just can memorize things really well. I have a photographic memory. And so I can surmise from that things they need, things they don't need. And I'm really strong at like body types. So specifically for men, I can kind of just leverage what maybe they need or what I like. But my biggest portion is just the reaction they have. I think so often, a lot of the clients that I work with kind of demean themselves in the fashion space because they feel like it's not important. But one of my clients specifically has had a whole mental health shift because he has been able to take back his persona. And we've been able to develop for him some confidence that starts in one area. He's in the NBA. And in that particular process, the tunnel is the only time they can be themselves. And it was important for me to help him take that back. And that is just, I feel like not everybody approaches it that way. And I understand that people like style and they like to dissect it, but my objective is to make that client happy, even if it's not what I would wear. It is just not my objective to put the most prominent pieces on the most popular person, but put the most purposed pieces on this person. Like this person feels good in blah. And my job is to help them with that. And sometimes I push the envelope. Sometimes I'll offer products that are specific in nature, specifically for these people who have a different tax bracket than some of my other clients. I try and make sure that I bring things that are really difficult to find because of their sizing. And then I get things sent in from all over the world just for them to be able to have access to exclusivity. But that helps with 22 years in the business.
Okay, you touched on some really good things there that I was going to ask you about because I was really curious how you kind of marry your personal style with the style of the client and whether it's something like you would wear or you wouldn't wear, but you know looks good for them. Like how do you kind of combine both of those perspectives?
So I always dress up for every appointment. Like today, this is a conversation I believe in taking no days off, right? And although I'm ambitious in the way that I like to see myself, I wear things and just kind of look at where their eyes glance. If it is my jewelry or my glasses, I try and ask them questions. And the most recent conversation that I had with, I was doing a moment with the Mavericks for an art thing that we were doing with my friend Daisha Board Gallery, check it out. And that conversation, I had on these wide leg like sweatpants from ASOS, right? And 3 of the players were like, man, nice pants, nice pants, nice pants. So I knew that by doing that, I was strategic in thinking that I would ask that like their inquisition to what I was wearing would make them feel like, oh, or just spark their curiosity maybe. So that's one way. My personal style it has nothing to do with the clothing. It has everything to do with the confidence. The idea that I tied a sweater around my shoulders today, or the idea that I wore a wide leg pant and I walk like it matters to me. So that is what the objective is. Personal style is subjective. And it is, quite frankly, not what you wear, but how you wear it. And styling and clothing is gonna have its always purposed way of wearing it. But the objective is to deconstruct it the way you want to wear it. You can wear pants as a shirt. You can wear shirts as a pant, like whatever you want. That confidence is what is key.
Oh, I love that. Okay, this is a little bit of a broad question as well, but how are you building that kind of confidence to wear, like even discover your own personal style? Like how are you kind of pulling these things together?
In my styling, I pray a lot. You know, God has been very helpful with me developing my own interpersonal confidence. Before the interview, we were talking a little bit about like imposter syndrome. And part of that is recognizing that of all the people that I'm able to assist in their imagery, the one common denominator is me. And that common denominator is difficult when you don't always have the confidence every day. So I can't sell a product that I don't believe in. And so that confidence for them starts with myself. And so every day I wake up, I take a photo of either myself or what I'm wearing. I don't post it on Instagram because I don't need the validation of others. I appreciate it, it's nice, but it's for me. And I look at it and I'm objective. And sometimes I just enjoy the fact that I'm in my own skin. I spent a long time trying to get myself to believe. And so now that I've really embraced this personality that I have, I don't know if anybody is like me, but if you are someone who has a personality that's always filling up a space and you don't always like the attention that comes with it, but you can't help it, you try and run and push that personality down, because sometimes what God is giving you to be a visibility or a visible person to other people, it seems very like it can be uncomfortable. And that's just my take on it. But I've just leaned into it more. And that confidence is incredibly important that I do it to myself too. So I'm selling them a product that I believe in.
Okay, so let me know if I'm a bit off base, but I know that something happened in September that really kind of reignited that idea for you and made you be like, okay, wait, no, I'm locking in. Like, could you go a little bit more in depth with that?
I had a birthday. I tell everybody I'm 40, but I'm really 39. So I'll be 40 next year. But as I'm getting closer to that age, there's a lot about me that is still new to me. And a lot about what's new to me is this profession. I had a 9-to-5 for 22 years. And I have always been a leader in business. And I had a staff that I was there to develop. And for the first time in the last 2 years, it was about me. And it being about me is incredibly isolating because I didn't know how to look at myself. I didn't know how to be nice to myself. I just knew how to work to please others. And in that people-pleasing process, I had an artist that I was working with recently who I felt would spend time disrespecting my time and spend time not respecting the fact that I'm gonna do 110% of what you ask because I enjoy doing my job. And a lot of times, you know, the compensation that comes along with it is subjective, or it is, it's hard to say this is what my work is valued at. This particular person would continue to kind of disrespect the fact that I would make them my priority. And in that process, I started to realize I can't do that to myself. You know, life is lifing. You know, this year with the election and with other things that were coming up, I needed to take care of myself instead of just trying to please this particular individual. And it was a choice that I started to make earlier in the year with withdrawing some of my availability, and not necessarily in time, but in mental space and conversations. Because some of that probing into both my life and being a party to drama made it look like I was an ally to it. And that ain't where I spend too much time in my own head to care about your crap, right? So right around September, I hit this birthday. I had a couple of things lined up with Fashion Week and this particular client that I had taken off so much that I did not celebrate my birthday because I was supposed to not be in town. And everything was canceled. I had no plans, and I was frustrated because I'm not a birthday celebration person, honestly. But for the last 2 years, I've been giving a shit about myself. And I was just really frustrated. So I had to drop a cancellation clause, which I did not do in the beginning, to let this person know that my time is valuable. And in the drawing up this clause, I had so much trepidation about, like, how is this gonna make them feel? I don't wanna lose my job. Like, I feel so bad. Like, no. It is okay to make yourself a priority. It is okay to tell someone that your time is valuable, because what you realize they're doing is they enjoy what you do. And you know they do because they keep you around. And even if they don't, you should enjoy what you do. And I knew I enjoyed what I do, and that what I do needed to be compensated if my time was wasted for 3 weeks out of September, where I was supposed to be unavailable, canceling other jobs, not making myself available for other things. But what I really didn't do was make myself available for myself. And it was my birthday. So that's when I was like, yeah, no more.
That's such a difficult position to be in, especially kind of having that own passion for your own craft and trying to respect that space. especially considering there's not a business behind you. You're an entrepreneur, so that can kind of be isolating at times. Who do you lean on to kind of give you the confidence or give you the backing to be like, no, I can write a cancellation clause, or like, no, I can add these things in there, especially because you don't have that built out formal team?
My bestie, Deja Board, she is an entrepreneur. She's one of the only Black female gallerists that have a gallery of her size, specifically in Dallas, but in the nation. And we bounce a lot of ideas off of each other. I volunteer at her gallery as a consultant just because I enjoy the art. The creative space keeps me busy. So I bounce a lot of ideas off her. My mom, my sister is like my bestie. And she was very, very not remorseful. She was very receptive to how I felt about myself. And the funny thing about all of this was everybody knew who I was. I just didn't. Right. And so even this conversation today, which thank you so much, because I am very grateful. I never see myself the way other people see me. And I never see myself as being someone that can add value or anything like that. But when this happened and that cancellation clause came up and my friends and family started to like invest in me, the importance of taking care of myself, something just clicked. And I became the main character of my story.
No, and we're so happy to have you here. Genuinely, don't thank me. Like, thank you for coming on. Like, I know that a lot of people want to peek behind the curtain, and this is a big deal. You mentioned a little something about your time in Fashion Week in September. Do you have any plans for February?
No. I don't. So I no longer work with that particular client. And so for February, I have nothing planned at the moment. I do have a couple of NBA clients, but typically All-Star break and Fashion Week kind of coincide. They also want to be away on vacation. So I'm not sure there, but we'll see. I may have more plans for the Met Gala though. That's what I'm working on right now.
And also, being a Black man with the next Met Gala theme, being a Black man that is a stylist, next Met Gala theme, what's on your mind?
You have no idea how badly I want to contribute to helping some of my clients attend. But the hardest thing, there's a misconception, people, about the Met Gala being an open thing. I did it last year, so I was able to kind of surmise the process. And the process is not as easy as you think it is. So I'm gonna run down to you what the logistics is and then how I feel about this particular Met Gala. The logistics is you are on call for that particular day of dressing. You're locked down in the 5 or 6 hotels that they select for the celebrities to stay in based off of who invites you. If you're invited by the designer, they usually book out a hotel for those particular people. On several different floors, there's photography and video opportunities while people are getting dressed, just to capture the fact that the celebrities are attending, but this is a night for the designers to display their art. So all of it is incredibly like collaborative. You are there from 10 a.m. till 2 a.m. and you cannot leave the hotel until your person is called to go. Once your person is called, the hotel is only one way down, one way up. It's like locked down. It was an incredible experience, but as you get to that red carpet, you drop that celebrity off. There is literally like Secret Service level security. We don't leave the car. You drop the celebrity off, they have a QR code on their phone, and then they go and attend the Met Gala. The Met Gala also is a fundraising opportunity, so they're not tickets we could just buy. And even if you could just buy them, you have to be selected to go. And it's a huge honor, but the objective again is to preserve fashion for the Metropolitan Museum or the Met Museum, but it also is something that is a night of people to step outside of themselves and to showcase themselves. And I had an amazing experience, but I learned a lot last year. I got to meet my favorite stylist, Jason Bolden, who I hope he remembers me. Hi, Jason. But I got to meet him and I got to hang out with Willie Chavaria and everybody from like Cardi B to Janelle Monáe. It was an incredible experience. Usher, I got to hang out with him at his party and stuff like that, but it was a lot of work. This year, I pray that I get to help because of this year's theme specifically around men's tailoring and the dandy moment of men's fashion around Black culture. Tailoring is something that I feel is so interpreted. I'll use an example. Tailoring is, you have on a wide leg jean. There's still tailoring that goes into that from a science perspective. The jean may have a certain break at the bottom, or when in the stride, it may hit a certain way because the way it's created, it moves at different parts of your body, even though it's wide leg. And people think that's cut on a generic bias. But majority of the times that you have like higher end pieces, it is created in segments. So a jacket, the arm is stitched separately from the other arm, and the lapel is added next, and then maybe even the breastplate or area through here is added in. So the jacket can consist of 7 to 8 different parts. So that tailoring is so exciting because in men specifically, 1 in 3 have a completely different body type. We could be the same height, we could weigh the same, but our shoulders are different, our waist is different, our chest is different. Women have 5 distinct shapes they could choose from based off their hips, their bust area, their shoulders. So you got apple, hourglass, A-line, these other things. But men are incredibly challenging because our bodies, while again, same height and weight may be a variable, completely different. So men should have a tailor, which is why this year is so important. All men get a tailor, all men get a tailor. Some of us, like myself, I can wear things off the rack because of the proportions of my body. But when I'm going to my client's house, I always travel with a tailor, just because a lot of my clients are very tall, and having someone available to them is a big deal. So the Met Gala this year, for someone who understands tailoring and someone who understands the importance of Black men representation, I pray that my clients are able to be a part of it. If not, I will definitely be watching.
No, and I asked that because with this year's theme, I don't feel like any Black stylist, any Black male stylist should be giving away the swag for free. But you guys need to be in the room for that theme to be done justice. Like, I think.
I received that.
Yeah.
The hardest thing about fashion too is, I could go on, but I don't want to mess up too much. I worked for Louis Vuitton during the Supreme era of the Supreme drop. And the way that appropriation happens in fashion, it is very interesting. The Supreme era drop was something that was supposed to really help marry street culture with high-end fashion. And then all of a sudden, high-end fashion takes street culture. And street culture was the last way we could represent ourselves. And, I am a school of thought that when Kanye said nobody believed him because he was wearing polos, that was the type of person that I was. So when he came out, I recognized and reverenced Kanye because he looked like me. We're much different now with Kanye, so that's not where I am in that particular space. But in the beginning, I chewed it up, right? The hard thing about this and what you're saying, I hope happens for the Met Gala, is that so many people don't let us in that room because it is still a hierarchy. Everybody from LVMH to Kering has investments in other diversified things outside of fashion that drives the revenue. And part of the most interesting thing, having worked in that particular side of the retail side, you see how important it is for us to hold that space. You've been hearing that a lot about holding space. It is very important to make sure we're available. We'll make sure that we are there because this story can be told without us, just referencing us, but we do it. And it has to be something that we really, really, really hold space for, from Jason Bolden to Dex Robb to La Roche. Like, there are so many Black creatives, Black stylists, Shanoa, KJ, my boy Alan. There's a lot of great people. I've had the pleasure, Ron from Document Journal. Like, I love these black ass folks. And I hope that if I'm not there, I get to see all of them there. They deserve it.
You are spitting, yeah. And I want to take like a small pivot now and just kind of get an idea of like what some of your favorite looks that you've done are. Whether that's you're looking at your client and you're like, oh no, I did the damn thing. Or whether it's how your client feels that you're proud of, or you stepped more into their style. Yeah, what are some of the favorite looks, or the most memorable looks, at least, that you feel like you've put together?
This season, I have the pleasure of, I'm working with Klay Thompson this season. Yay. And one of the most interesting things about Mr. Thompson is I enjoy when he smiles. And I know that feels really cheesy, but that's the most important look. I can't describe. The clothing is amazing. Like, in some of it is not necessarily what I would wear. However, him smiling, non-negotiable. That's important. So I don't want to be biased to what I think is the best look. The smile is the best part.
That's so sweet.
It's the truth too. Yeah.
That's so sweet.
Like,
I love that.
if I'm walking out the house and you can't tell me nothing, I don't care. I had somebody the other day tell me that, oh, that's a look you could pull off. You pull it off. And I said, what does that mean? And then he said, oh, no, I like it, but it's just something only you could pull off. And I told him, this isn't something I did for you to approve of. I liked it. Yeah. I didn't care. I appreciate that you think that's a compliment, but it's a little backhanded. But me pulling off something for your validation and saying that you couldn't does mean nothing. Like, when I left the house this morning, I liked me. Right. I love me now. You know, so I appreciate that. If anything, just say you look nice. You don't have to say that's something only you could pull off, because only you could pull off what I said was a receding hairline and sweats. But that's just that's just how I felt. No, I'm just joking. I didn't say that, but I should have. No, but he didn't mean any malice. I just want people to be careful that fashion is an extension of someone's personality, and it is important that you don't diminish how they represented themselves that day, because it could have been all they had to feel good.